Welcome. Thank you for joining me tonight. My name is Paul. I run Whitman Marine Training. We do a lot of boating safety stuff throughout New Jersey. Tonight, we are continuing our webinars, and we're specifically going to be talking about Tom's River kind of area. We're going to be talking about Tom's River, Silver Bay, the intercoastal waterway that kind of connects the two, and we're going to be talking about the Metedeconk River. I probably pronounced that incorrectly. My apologies to if I have made anybody upset with that. I am doing this in partnership with a couple different people. Some people are on the phone tonight. Hopefully they will be helping me out with some stuff because it is a lot to talk about. A lot of water in this area. John Anderson, he helped me out on the Delaware River. Captain Ed, he's on the call. He's with Happy Captain's Boating Instruction. He will be jumping on the call and talking about okay. Sorry, all of a sudden my face was next. I don't know what was going on. Yeah, so Ed, he's gonna help me out from Happy Captain's Boating Instruction. I did send an olive branch out to Sea Scout Ship 117. They may be on the call tonight. They may be helping us out in different areas. If you are on the call, please let us know. Just send us a chat so Caitlin can let me know. There are a whole bunch of people on the call tonight. I did mention that we are recording. So please refrain from using profanity. Also, try to treat everybody in every place with respect. Since we are recording it, it's really difficult to go back and find all those things to correct. So the least amount of things I have to correct, the easier it is to upload it and quicker I can get it up online. Same thing with politics. Let's try to reduce all that stuff. Try to have your camera off, and same thing with your microphone. I'm sure since there's so many people on the call, it probably already has resorted to automatically have your microphone muted. But if you have a question, please feel free to raise your hand. This is an interactive session. This should not feel like a lecture. If it does, let me know. I'll just stop it right there, and we'll backtrack a little bit. Raise your hand, do whatever you got to do. Throw a chat in. I won't necessarily hear the chat, so I will ask people to put their thumbs up, do whatever you have to do, so I can kind of understand and see what's going on. I don't like what I can see myself and not. Okay. All right. That's better. Okay. We do have, this is the last webinar for May. Coming up in June, the next session next week, we're going to be talking about Point Pleasant Canal, Mascouin River, and then I'm going to do a general overview of every inlet from Cape May to Shark River. I'm going to group that all together, and then we're going to go up slowly up a little bit further up the coast, and we're going to be ending on the 18th with an overview of Lower Bay, Upper Bay, and entering the New York Harbor. All right, we have a lot of water to cover tonight. I usually do kind of a little safety briefing, but since we have a lot of water, we are just going to jump right into the chart. As soon as I slide this over, please let me know if everybody can see the chart. Just give me a thumbs up if you're looking at a chart now. Okay, great. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to zoom in. This is obviously the Argo app. some updates that they recently did on it. Obviously, they made the icons a little bit bigger. So we have the red buoys, which are much bigger. We can click on them. We can see what's going on. Um, uh, sure, people can hear stuff going on in my background.
Hold on, guys.
Caitlin, can you message the person in my background, please?
Totally do that.
Thank you. And tell them they can be heard by a whole bunch of people in New Jersey. Thank you. All right, so what are we looking at here? Some things that I do like to change are, first thing I like to do is verify what my map options are, what my settings are on this chart, right? So what we can see here is I have the NOAA chart selected, right? I can change it from NOAA, or I can change it to a standard, and we can see what that comparatively looks like, right? So changing it from a standard nautical chart back to the NOAA chart, right? Zoomed way out, really don't see any difference. But as we zoom in, now we're going to start seeing some contour lines, and it kind of gives you an arrow as to where the intercoastal waterway is. But for me, this doesn't give me enough detail. Let's get more detail. Change some more of the settings. Got places, we have the nav aids, everything is turned on. The places, everything is turned on. I don't know if we need hotels turned on. We don't need some of these other things turned on. Haven't had this turned on. This, okay. Something I do like to do is jump between satellite and regular view. So jumping between a NOAA chart and a satellite chart, the difference in that, what we get is now we have kind of a different perspective. Sometimes what we'll see is that on the chart that we're looking at, we're only going to get a couple of the channel markers. We're not going to get what's actually on the water, what we know is there, right? So we kind of have to guess as to where they are in accordance as to what this digital chart is showing us. So it's nice to be able to kind of look around and see if we can find the trail or the image of a boat that may be zooming through the area, and we can use that to kind of as a guide and make a good guesstimate from there. Okay, so this is the beginning of the Toms River right here. We'll zoom out so we can kind of orient ourselves as to where we are. You can see the Route 30 bridge or Route 37 bridge. Gotta like these computer errors. All right, and we'll zoom in to the inlet of the channel. I'm going to get rid of the satellite because it's just too much static. I want to be able to see some of the contours so we can point some stuff out. All right. Man. So we can see this dotted line. I do like to annotate as we go. All right, this dotted line here is the intercoastal waterway. On the intercoastal waterway, anytime that you're on the intercoastal waterway, make sure that you keep the green buoys between you and the ocean, and red between you and New Jersey. Okay, or another saying of that would be between you and the greens, ocean seaweed, or red between you and the New Jersey's rust. Okay, stop annotating. All right, entering would I upset anybody? Is anybody from Argo on the call that will get upset if I switch back to Navionics? Because this is killing me. This is absolutely killing me. It's driving me nuts. All right. Goodbye, Argo. Hello, Navionics. All right. Look at the same exact body of water. A lot of people on this call is probably looking at me like, why are we jumping around? What are you doing? You have no idea what you're talking about. I don't understand what's going on. Why did we just jump over? I just jumped over because I want to see all these contours. Okay. I want to be able to make a good decision as to where I am and where I'm going. Okay. It was great that on the Argo app that I had a rough idea. Okay, I had a little bit of a drawing as to where those channel markers were. But here, as we zoom in, we can see exactly where some of these channel markers are, right? Let me annotate them here. Whenever you're going up a river, you can have red on your right. So we have a red buoy here, a red buoy here, a red buoy here, a red buoy there. Right, and you'll have a green buoy here, and another one, and another one, right? The reason they're not actually called out on the chart is because they're seasonal, okay? And they come in and out during, depending upon the season. In the winter, they're not there. They're only there during the summer. On the bottom, we have our first marina. Okay, stop annotating. Right down here, this is going to be the Ocean Gate Yacht Basin at the bottom. We can zoom in here and you can see what we're looking at. Not only do we have all these contours that really paint the picture as to what we're looking at, right? So we can see very clearly that we have a 6-foot depth, we have a 4-foot depth, the gradient, the changing of the depth is really obvious to us, right? So we know what we're looking at. If we've never been into this, we can make a really good guesstimate. As you do come into this area, you will come across some of those sticks, right? There's like literal sticks in the water, and you'll have green squares and red triangles almost screwed to sticks as your channel markers to kind of highlight your way into this basin. Right, so you know how to get into this basin nice and easy. Follow those sticks and you'll be fine. If you don't follow the sticks, we could come across out here. If we zoom in close enough, you do see that, you know, if you go kind of astray, you can run aground pretty quickly because you do have that sandbar. You can see the contours here of the sandbar, right? At low tide, they're saying that you have 5 foot inside here. I can definitely say I've been in and out of here quite a few times at low tide, and if you're hugging this side here, it definitely looks a whole lot lower on my depth finder than 5 foot, more like 3 foot, more like 3 foot as you're going through there. All right, so make sure that you're sticking to those channel markers into this basin and into this neighborhood. All right, let's zoom out here. We're going to progress up the river. Directly on the other side, you know what, we're going to just, instead of looking up, it's going to be really tough to cover, hey, this is here, this is there on the river, because there's so much here. I'm going to do my best. Okay. Directly across the river from, we're going to have a couple things up here. This is another spot where you will have some channel markers that are going to be finding your way into this kind of small neighborhood if they are there. As you get up here into this kind of T, if you will, you're going to come across, there's a Bay Shore Marina up there. And Tom's River, they do have a small section up there, Tom's River Motorsports, with a really small dock up there. Tom's River Motorsports mainly has their main marina on the outside. So don't get confused if you're going to go up and find those guys. We got to get something serviced. So if we're coming into, maybe I should have zoomed out a little further. Annotating. Coming into this direction, follow those channel markers all the way in, and then right when you come in, you have a Bayshore Marina right in front of you. Then you go to the left, right over here, you do have a small dock for Tom's River Marine. But you also have, if you come up around this way, yeah, at this point, right before you make that kind of dog leg in, you have to pay attention because you do have some sandbars along the housing side. There's like a metal round. I kind of drew that pink line right on top of the sandbar there. There's some mud right here, so make sure that you hug the marina side, and then as soon as you go in, you'll come across Tom's River Marina right up here. Um, next up, a little bit first, stop annotating. A little bit further down from Tom's River, you have plenty of water to play in here, depending upon what depth of your boat is. For the most part, the majority of the center of the river, you're going to come across 5 foot, 6 foot, 7 foot in the dead center in the channel. If you go to the edges, you're going to be finding some 4 foots, some real shallow spots. So make sure that you're paying attention when you're going to the shallow areas. If you're going to go back to Dillon Creek or use the boat ramp back here, let me switch over to satellite view so you can see the boat ramp if it pops up and is not too blurry. Okay, there it is. So we have kind of 2 boat ramps right here. A couple things going on. See if I'm zoomed out enough so I can highlight all of it. Get that down. Okay, up here we have up here we have Dillon's Marina. Over here you have Guilford Park Boat Club or Guilford Park Yacht Club. Guilford Park Yacht Club does have a boat ramp right attached to it. It's kind of right at the bottom of this ramp, at the bottom of this road, and it kind of goes right into the water right next to it. There is also a boat ramp. I have to get rid of the annotating and zoom in a little bit so it appears again. There it is. And it is back in here. And it's right here. All right, this was kind of tough to get into. You kind of have to know what you're doing. When you drive your truck in, it's kind of different than it's just not. this image, the picture does not match what is actually in there. So after you come in here, you have a park lot right here to park. Then you're going to come in here and you're going to drive your truck forward into here and back down the ramp. Then once you're down the ramp, get the boat off, and then you can come back up here to park your vehicle. There's only a couple parking spots up in there though, but it's a good spot, good ramp. It's just a tight area, and it can be shallow at low tide. Well, at a blowout tide, it's pretty shallow, but I have never had a real issue there other than a blowout tide. If at any time anybody is, if I say something that somebody disagrees with or has a comment about, raise your hand, put a thumbs up or something, feel free to get my attention. As we move up the river, I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back to no overlay. So we get rid of that static, get rid of all that noise, so we can just focus on the water contours. All right. As we get back out into the river, some things to pay attention to. The long point does have a red buoy number 10 right here. You have to make sure that you go around that buoy number 10 because there is a sandbar. I've seen quite a couple people get hung up right here on the sandbar. It does come out. It says 4 foot at low tide. I've seen a couple people get stuck there. Sometimes they're coming up there with cabin cruisers. Sometimes they're going up there with boats that draft more than they expect them to, and they do get hung up on that spot. So make sure that if you're going down there or going up the river here, that you mind that sandbar. Right. As we go up river, we do have the Ocean Gate Yacht Club, which is directly to south, right here, center of the screen. That is the Ocean Gate Yacht Club. The next area that we're going to have up here, as we slide up, we're going to have a couple marinas. I think that's a good spot to leave the screen. There's a couple of things going on here. You know what? Let's transition this to satellite. That's too busy. No overlay. Okay, so let's annotate and move this so it gets out of our way. Okay, so in this area, there tends to be a whole bunch of boats that are anchored up that are on mooring balls. Okay, because we have I am not even going to try to pronounce the boat shop, the yacht club marina that is right here. That is the De Roville's boat shop right there. It's a sailboat shop. They do restore some old classic wood sailboats in there, and there's quite a few that are anchored out right in this area. All right, so be mindful of that. Depending upon where you keep your boat, if you keep your boat at a house in this area, you may be coming in here and coming right about into the Shore Point Marina, because the Shore Point Marina does have fuel and it is a popular spot to pull your boat in and out. So just make sure when you're coming into this area that you're being mindful of all the sailboats that are in that X. In addition to them, we also have Nelson's Marina up here. Nelson's does have a travel lift. I do not know if they have fuel. And we have Cozy Cove right next to them. In addition to that, you also have the Island Heights Yacht Club, which is just a little bit upriver from all three of those. Now, before I move further upriver, I do want to just kind of zoom in here and talk about the approach into, stop annotating, into Short Point Marina. Satellite imagery. As you do approach into Short Point Marina, there's quite a few people that I work with that go into here. Be mindful as you come in. You can get some shoaling. So on this area, there is a sandbar over here. So be mindful as you're bringing your boat in, right? You don't want to run aground. There is a sandbar, also a sandbar that is over here. Being mindful as you're coming in and don't get hung up on that sandbar. There is a channel, there are channel markers, or there used to be channel markers. I have not gone in there yet this year. If anybody's on the call, I can confirm whether there are or not channel markers in there right now. Not right now, but this season. That would be wonderful. Directly to the north of this marina, I know it looks like there's a marina here, but there is not. This is all private residencies. If you are going into here, it is really shallow. Be mindful of that. Go in there at mid to high tide, and do not go in there with a very deep draft boat. Be mindful as to what you're doing while you're going in there. Pay attention to your depth finder. Okay. At the beginning of the webinar, I mentioned, sometimes we don't have channel markers on the map. We're looking, and I use the satellite imagery to find the images of the boats to try to find where that channel is, right? Here's an example of those boats just driving along. You can use them to find what the normal channel is. All right, we're gonna transit, we're gonna slide north a little bit. I'm gonna get rid of some of this satellite static. In this area, is there's a beach over here. I should not have gotten rid of this satellite imagery. There's a beach right here. I have no idea what it's called. There's a beach right on kind of round to the north of the Short Point Marina. Some people do like to anchor off just offshore of it, hop in the water and kind of swim to the beach, get out and have some fun. I do see people doing that. The next marina that we come to is the Pine Beach. Placed right here. This is the Pine Beach Yacht Club on the south side, lower left-hand side of the river. All right, the river here kind of opens up nice and wide, plenty of room to maneuver. But please be mindful of the houses in this area. A lot of homeowners tend to complain of wakes getting thrown in the general area. On the north side here, we have a couple marinas. Annotate as to where they are. Right here, we have the Towns River Yacht Club. And in the back here, we do have the Brenton Harbor Marina. I believe that's a private marina, only associated with a couple streets back there. You can get a slip, you can get a membership, but you have to only be a member up to a couple blocks back there. That's really, really limited as to who can get in, who cannot get in. Okay. All right, we're gonna keep going a little bit north, as we can see here with the contour lines, and we can see that the river is slowly constricting, right? As the river kind of would slowly be getting smaller. Oh, I should mention the Pine Beach boat ramp before we kind of go further north. At the bottom here, there's a nice ramp at the bottom. Not a lot of parking, a decent amount of parking. And what's nice is that as soon as you get off the ramp, it's kind of like this nice large bay. This is another spot where sometimes people anchor out and have a good time. And there's this nice small beach where sometimes kids come up and just hang out and relax and play in the water. Um, that
Paul,
is
is that the ramp that has the real steep driveway? You recall?
down to the ramp, or the ramp is steep. Ed, I don't recall this one having a steep,
People
much of
is
anything.
typing and saying that it does have a steep down to ramp. Yeah, 2 people are
Okay.
confirming. It's pretty steep there.
Okay.
It kind of comes
Good to
out of
know.
like a residential neighborhood down a very steep driveway to the parking lot.
Wow, that's good to know. Good to know. I don't think I've ever, honestly, I've always gone to that one via boat, so that's good to know. That is good to know. Some of these places I just go to via boat. I don't know what it's like to drive to it, to be honest. But thank you for pointing that out. Back to the overlay. It's nice to clean that view up. If you're ever using this a tablet and this as your main navigation device, you really got to get rid of all that satellite imagery. If not, you just kind of burn it up and suck the battery dry. The next couple of things that we're going to be coming across over here, you really have to be paying attention as you get to the top of Toms River. You know, I'm going to put this down to the right so we can kind of talk about all of this area. All right, first thing that we're going to come across is going to be Lighthouse Point Marina. Lighthouse Point Marina, as soon as you get to the top here, it's nothing but China markers. I know we can probably count how many we see. I see 2 green and 1 red, right? But in all honesty, there's a whole lot more than just those 2. And the boats seem to be a whole lot closer than what this image kind of portrays, right? And this is all going to be a no wake zone up in this area. So right here, this is your Lighthouse Point Marina. As you're coming up here, coming up from Toms River, there's going to be a point where this is going to split, right? You have a fork that's going to go to starboard, and you have to follow it around nice and tight and close. All right, and it kind of goes all the way around up top, and that is how you get up to the restaurant. I believe it's Waterfront Grill up there. Fine. Yeah, Water Street Grill is up there. It's right here. Has anybody been up there recently? Do they know how their docks are?
Well, I was there last year, and the docks are okay, but some of them are shallow. Anything 28 feet or above, probably want to bow in because if you stern in, it's a little shallow next to the bulkhead.
Yeah, I found that to be the case before, and I also found that some of those that it would be a moment where I was glad I had a hammer on my boat to kind of knock some nails and screws back into the boards.
Yeah, that's accurate.
Okay. So up there is Water Street Grill, Water Street Bar and Grill, whatever you want to call it. Great spot. I've never had a bad meal at that place. You also have the Sunset Cove Marina, which is right here. Pretty decent sized marina. A lot of interesting boats docked there as you drive past. The Lighthouse Point Marina down here at the bottom right of the screen, I mentioned that you kind of have a fork in the road. You do have to make the starboard to go up and around to go to the restaurant, or you will have a channel to follow to go into the marina. And then once you get into the marina, there's again another fork in the road. Do you want to go up along this way, or do you want to go this way along the bulkhead to these slips, or do you want to follow into the proper marina? Okay, there's another marina in the back. Cedar, supposedly there's a marina back here. Cedar Cove Marina. I don't think it exists. Is there a marina back there? Does anyone know? Everything, it's all mud back there, for all I know. Supposedly there's a marina back there. I don't know how you get in and out of it. It's all mud. Yeah. One thing to pay attention to, though, if you are back up here at the Water Street Bar and Grill, you do have that the paddle wheel boat that comes in and out of there, that dinner boat. So make sure that you're paying attention to where that is. It's larger than you would expect it to. I mean, you're up there on the river, and you're only drafting, where does it say, maybe 5 foot, 7 foot. You're surrounded by a whole bunch of small boats, and then here comes this 80-foot dinner boat driving up the river. It's just not something that you expect to see. I think this area here is only, 5-6 foot deep. And just not something you expect to see. So it kind of catches you off guard. All right, we're gonna jump out of Toms River. Anybody have any questions about the river before we leave the river? I can't see the zoom.
Someone is asking, can you dock at Buddy Park?
You can, hold on, Buddy Park. Is that the park at?
Nope, sorry, Huddy Park. At Huddy Park. And yes, you can
Huddy
dock
Park?
there.
Is that's the one up here, right?
And George had a great suggestion that you could park there and then walk to the distillery, the brewery. There's some sushi stuff there. And you can walk to all kinds of places if you park at Huddy Park.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I didn't know there was enough water to park at Huddy Park. On the you're talking about on the, they have a submarine or something over there. What did I do with the?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a submarine or a decommissioned torpedo or something, but yeah, you can see that from the water.
This seemed to be George's neck of the woods, and he's saying there's plenty of water there, and it's on the other side is where you can go, not
Okay.
near the submarine.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Cool. Thanks. That's great to know. That's great to know. That's why these conversations are so good to have. All right. That's where my annotation thing went. All right. We're going to slide out of Toms River and make our way north. Directly on the other side of the Route 37 bridge, it gets complicated. Not complicated, but there's a lot of stuff going on. Okay. And I want to highlight it here while we're here. You have to really pay attention to the bridge, right? If you've boated in this area ever, you have seen them. I want that. I want red. Okay. If you're going through the bridge, go through the main center of the bridge, right? I don't care what you call them. They are icebreakers. They are old bridge pylons. They are death traps. Okay. There are wood poles in the water. You run them over with boats is what you do, okay? Stay away from these. Go through the bridge underneath the main channel. All right, please. We've had enough people get hurt in that area. Okay. There is some food on the starboard side here. We do have Weber's Grill. No, it's Stewart's Drive-In. I'm sorry. To get to Stewart's, you can see the channel markers, right? We do have the red and greens. You stick to them like a glove and follow them in. It does get shallow really quick, so do not go outside of it. And as soon as you get around here, you will get the nice open bay. It does open up nice and wide, and you come around, and Stewart's is right here. All right, Stewart's does have a dock and dine situation going on there. Feel free to go in, grab some food. You don't necessarily have to stay there and eat. You can just kind of come over here where the anchor is, anchor up and hang out. Keep in mind there used to be a group over there that rented boats. And that was kind of annoying as I went back there because there were just all these random stand-up paddle boarders, just like bicyclists on the water. Just be mindful as to what's going on back there. There is another marina back here, Bayside or Russell's Marina, or I don't know what you want to call it. There is a marina back there. If you're going to be going north, okay, and you're back by Stewart's, okay, you have to go up along the houses. You have to stick to that channel to get up and out of there. You cannot stray from there. Or you have to go back down and around and out those channel markers back out to the ICW and follow it north. There are no cut-throughs to get in and out there. It may look like it at high tide, but there are no cut-throughs to get in and out of there. Okay, on the Jersey side of the ICW right here, we do have a marina. You have we're on the inside here. You do have the Pier 1 Marina. To get there, you have to make sure you pick the correct street to go down or canal to go down. I've picked the wrong one a couple times. And when you go down here, you got to pay attention to, as you're coming in here, I'm not sure if that's thick enough there. As you're coming in here, it can be a challenge sometimes, right? Because a lot of times the wind on the Barlinget Bay, sometimes it can be blowing north and south. Sometimes it can be blowing east and west. As soon as you get into these canals and next to its houses, the wind gets blocked, right? So you don't feel it anymore. But then as soon as you get into this spot to make this hard port to come down to this marina, you get hit broadside with the wind. And I've seen people get kind of confused and don't know what they're doing all of a sudden. And it just gets kind of squirrely in this spot right here. So make sure you're paying attention if you're going into the Pier 1 Marina right there. All right, we're going to go north a little bit here. I did mention over here, if you're coming up from Stewart's, that we had to stay tight to the land on the starboard side all the way up here, right? There was no real cut throughs. This is going to be your cut through. your only cut through. This is, I don't know what this island's called. It's West Point Island. All right, coming up from Stewart's down here on the bottom right, coming all the way up. You have to hug the houses all the way up to West Point Island. And once you get to West Point Island, then you will have a string of channel markers you can follow, take it all the way out to the ICW. Then you can make the decision, okay, am I going north or am I going south? Absolutely. Do not cut it early. There is a way to go through here with a wave runner. There is a way to go through there with a wave runner. Sometimes it's marked, sometimes it is not marked. You have to know where it is to know where it is. If you look at it on a Google Maps, you'll see where it is, but it does get the sandbar does cover it over pretty easily. And if it's a bad winter with a whole bunch of nor'easters, it'll clog it up and you'll get messed up until the next spring. Okay. Over here on West Point, not sure if you live back in behind the West Point Island. If you do live back behind the West Point Island, you can see there's all sorts of channel markers here, right? Make sure that you stick to the channel markers because there is a sandbar. And I've seen a lot of people get stuck on the sandbar, and it's an absolute shame. It's kind of funny, but it's a shame. So I'll highlight in brown for mud. There's a sandbar here. All right, make sure you're paying attention. So as you're coming up, make sure you're following these channels. Then you make the starboard side to come down and around and follow it in. Okay, but be careful if you're going back onto the inside of West Point Island because it can get the currents can run through there. I'll highlight this with a red. Do not do that. Do not do that because you will run aground. What I see a lot of times is kids with wave runners. What they do is they get comfortable doing that because they don't have any problems doing that high tide or mid tide. And then all of a sudden low tide, they go through there and oops, and they just fill the pump housing with mud. Okay, so we're working our way north on the Jersey side here. Jersey side here, furthest marina all the way into the left. Over here, you have east of Marina. We also have Hobby Lobby Marine. I believe that's it. A lot of room in this cove. It's pretty deep as you go in there. Just pay attention. Make sure you know where you're going. And pick the right street. Especially if you're going back into, there's marinas that are all the way at the end of those streets. Get channels because you just, it ticks you off when you go down the wrong street. All right, back out onto the channel. And I'm going to kind of I know I'm going to keep jumping back and forth, but it's the only way to work our way up the ICW here, right? So the ICW, again, is marked with that dotted line. The ICW goes this way. Yeah, you do see that there's a channel that goes off to the starboard, right? You can see the little kind of black or red ticks that go along the channel there. If you're going to take that in, again, follow that in. All right, if I zoom in, we can still see that we have 5 foot, we have 6 foot. I mean, we have some deep water, but we have some not so deep water, right? So if you zoom in closer, all right, we have 4 foot, we have 3 foot, marking the edge of some of these waterways. That's not some stuff. That's not really water I want to be finding with the bottom of my boat. I mean, maybe you do, but I definitely don't want to be finding it. And I guess maybe I'll have some clams for dinner or something, but I don't know. All right, so we're gonna follow this channel in, and then we can get to, you have, all right, you have the, that's not what that is. All right, over here in Lavallette, we have a couple things going on. You have the Ocean Beach Marina right here on the right. At the Ocean Beach Marina, I thought there was, you have the Channel Marker Cafe, which is at the ocean, which is in there. I do believe that's a dock and dine situation in there. That is right on the inside here. Just up to the north of here, you do have Chadwick Island Marina. To get to there, I highly suggest just going around the island. Don't go underneath the bridge. The bridge separating the island from the mainland is only a 8-foot vertical clearance. That's really nothing. I mean, you're only talking about a dinghy. So make sure you're following it around, hug the shoreline. Unless you have a house in this direction, don't go this way unless you have a house, because you only have an 8-foot vertical clearance. That's all you have there. And if you need more than 8-foot vertical clearance at low tide, and you get all the way in there, you're going to be SOL. I don't know what to tell you. It's a real tight spot. You're not gonna have fun. All right, so you get all the way around there, and you find your way all. All right, just follow it. There's a channel on this side to follow your way in. Then once you get in the neighborhood, it's obvious how to get in there. Then you're golden. All right, did I miss anything to the south? I think I did. Oh, there was the Lavallette Yacht Club. And the Beach Club. Okay, so right in the center here is the Beach Club. Satellite so we can see where we are. Right here is the Beach Club. To get in there, or to get into kind of the Beach Club development, make sure that you're paying attention to where you're going. As soon as they get rid of the satellite imagery, they drop an island in there. All right, but if I go back to satellite imagery, there is no island. All right, a lot of these things you can't see at high tide. So you got to be making sure that you're paying attention and know where you're going and know how to avoid those sandbars. All right, if we're going to be going south, you can. It is well marked. back behind these this little sedge island here on the left. All right, this is well marked, and this right here is going to be your Lavallette Yacht Club. There is, if you, I don't know if it's going to show up here on satellite imagery. All right, right here where it says 3, sometimes there is and sometimes there is not a nice beach there. Right here, sometimes there is, sometimes there is not a nice beach there. Just a nice random spot to go and hang out, beach your little john boat or little center console and hang out. Or if you're living in one of those houses, you know, just take your little dinghy over there and hang out, or your little kayak and get out of Dodge, if you will. Okay. Overlay, zoom out. All right, we're gonna kind of pan back across to the other side, and now we're gonna be in Silver Bay. Silver Bay is pretty big. You have a lot going on in Silver Bay. Silver Bay, you
Made a great comment that heads up, there's a big sandbar directly in front of the one I can't say, the La Lafayette yacht club. That's not marked very well. The one you were just at, I cannot say the name of that.
Lavallette.
There's yep, that one, Lavallette. There's a really big sandbar in front of it, according to Keith.
Awesome. That is exciting. So it's had a sandbar there. Kind of ignored it because, you know, but so now it's really encouraging. I thought they were going to be dredging that, honestly. That's not fun. All right. Thank you. Thanks, Keith. So before, we used to have a sandbar that was here, and you had a little bit of room. You had plenty of room to kind of get out. So I guess, Keith, I guess the sandbar is now more or less over here. So now it's a whole lot tighter. I can't see his thing. You could unmute yourself if you want to talk.
Hey, sorry everybody. Between Sedge Island and Lavallette Yacht Club, it comes out quite a bit. You probably only have 30 or 40 yards between the tip of the sandbar and the yacht club. I mean, it's pretty. There's no wake barrels there, but it is definitely a problem. I'm not sure if they've dredged or not, but just wanted to throw out a heads up. Thanks.
Oh man. So is it on this side? Has it constricted the pathway further?
Yeah, where your most recent, if you see where the anchor symbol is,
Yes.
yeah, it's between, it's actually just a bit south of that, almost where that pink line is. That pink line off the corner, right in there. Yep, right in there. Yes, right there.
Okay.
And a lot of
Wow.
boats will, I mean, hang out up there and beach smaller boats will beach there, but it's definitely a problem.
Yeah. That sounds like a problem, especially if the current gets ripping through there. That darn. Well, thanks for highlighting it. That's great. It's great to know. All right, we're gonna jump over to Silver Bay. And to get to Silver Bay, make sure that you're paying attention. I don't know what kind of boat you're driving. You know, follow the pathway out, being mindful of the sandbars. You know, come on out here, get out to the channel. And once you get out to the channel, if you have a shallow draft boat, then you can kind of shoot across the bay, if you will, kind of straight, and you won't have any issues. But if you do draft some water, then you're going to have to follow that channel back down to the ICW until it gets deep enough, and then follow it north to get up to Silver Bay. Silver Bay, we have a couple of things going on in Silver Bay. Silver Bay, we have, switch it over to the satellite imagery so we can see. Silver Bay, there is a nice beach directly on the inside of the beach. I don't know what the beach is called. It's on Caddis Island. No idea what it's called. It's a nice beach. Depending upon what way the wind is going, you can kind of pull your boat up there, get out, hang out. A great spot to go. In addition to that, we also have Mosquito Cove. Now it's called Mosquito Cove for a reason, right? If you're looking at the depth contours here, there's plenty of water getting in here. Some people do kind of beach their boat up here on this sand. Plenty of room in here to get in and out. Just be mindful as to what you're doing. Don't be bumping into anybody else. Have plenty of mosquito repellent. All right. Next thing that we're going to come across here, there is a boat ramp. I don't know. There is a free boat ramp back here. I've never used it, all honesty. Right here. I've never used this boat ramp. That's on. Okay, that's the one on Brandon Road. If you want to drop that one in there. Yeah, I've never used it. It's back behind the Ocean County Parks office. I don't know if anybody else has used it. I have not used that one. I can't comment on it. I just know that it's there. All right. The next thing that we have in this bay, kind of going up the bay, is going to be Coddy Marine. As we come into, oh, I forgot about Mizzen Beach. There's all sorts of little beaches in this bay and in the next bay, but they don't really show up on this image. They can pull your boat up to and get out and have a good time. Just be mindful of the shoals and the shallows that you're coming up to. Sometimes you have to anchor off a little bit, get out and swim in. All right, let's talk about Coddy. Technically, there's two marinas up here. You have Silver Bay and you have Coddy Marine dealer. Coddy Marine has a boat lift and it has fuel. You really have to pay attention. I should have zoomed in as we're coming in and out of here. So over here, it's a nice sandbar. Over here, it's a nice sandbar. There is a channel that you have to follow. It's kind of really nice and obvious. They make it really nice and obvious for you. But once you get in there, it's really nice and tight. So make sure you know what you're doing and you can pivot that boat around nice and easy. If you don't know what you're doing, make sure you have plenty of people on the bow and the stern of the boat. They can fend off and get in and out of there. They do have a fuel dock, is right here. It's right here. So, but there are a lot of people that do come in and out, coming past you. So be mindful if you're going to be using their fuel dock. The coming in and out of here, in and out of the marina, like I mentioned, they do have those channel markers. but some of the channel markers were not there 2 weeks ago, and some of them were damaged. So make sure you're paying attention as to where you're going as you're coming in and out of here. All right, as we're coming out of here, there is another marina. You have the Silver Bay Harbor Association, which is over here. They have a nice large spot over here, nice large basin. You have to apply to get a slip. They do have a nice beach in there. You have to know where you're going, what you're doing. They don't just have like open slips, so you have to know what you're doing to get in there. I don't know if anybody in here on the call is calling in from Green Island. I do get into Green Island quite a bit. What I want to do is I want to get rid of the satellite imagery to highlight this. I did notice that the channel markers to get in and out of Green Island were not there. And I don't know why. So coming in and out of Green Island, some things to be mindful of. Brown to highlight. Sandbars. There's a sandbar right here. All right, you gotta be careful of this thing. So you should have, there used to be a set of channel markers to direct you out this way. All right, if you have wave runners, there's a way to get in, wave runners only, to get in as a straight in that direction. But you really have to know where you're going from to and from. So I don't know where those channel markers are, and why they're not there to highlight as to where that sandbar is. So if you're going to be coming in and out of Green Island, make sure that you're using your depth finder and have your chart plotter up until they're replaced. I saw one was like landing down on its side the other week. Make sure you're paying attention. As you come in here, this entire area is no wake. Yeah, just make sure you're paying attention. There's a nice sandbar coming in. To highlight sandbar, right? Sandbar color brown. So you have a sandbar going this whole way. So you got to really kind of pay attention to where you're going. There is a channel marker. I don't know what color it is, so I'll use yellow for question mark, somewhere around right here where my dot is. And that you have to use as you're coming in. It's like an about face to go across, and then you can get to these houses, and then you can get into this neighborhood. All right, you can't go like that, because if you go like that, you're gonna run aground right about there. It just doesn't work out that well. So make sure you're sticking to that channel. It's, as soon as you get on the inside here, it's well marked. But every now and then I see people just traveling outside the channel, and then they suddenly their engines bog down as they hit mud, and I just get a good laugh out of it. All right, up here on Kettle Creek, we have a couple things going on. Highlight it. Zoom in here. Okay, over here we have a yacht club. You have the Shore Acres Yacht Club, and you have Drum Point Marina. Right here you have the yacht club, and right here you have Shore Point Marina. If you're living in the area and you have a house in the area, I'm a big fan of their fuel dock. It's a whole lot easier to get to because I got a lot more ways to get to it than the other fuel dock in the area. And if it's crowded, I could just sit out in the bay, wait my turn, and get in there. A lot easier, a lot less stressful. Just personal opinion. Since there is the yacht club, keep in mind they do have a pretty active kids program, summer program. So if you're driving through this area during the summer, be on the lookout for small sailboats because they do have an active kids program going on. A little further up on Kettle Creek, there are a couple other marinas up here. You do have, there is a beach up here, Waterside Bay. There's a beach all the way up here. All the way up here. If you can get to it on a nice day, it's absolutely beautiful. Really all depends on what way the wind is blowing you, if you can get to there. Don't get up there and get out there on a blowout tide though, because you will get stuck. So maybe anchor off out here or something where it's not gonna, you're not gonna get high and dry. Over here on a little bit further up, you have, there used to be two other marinas over here. There was Kettle Creek. Does anybody know if that came back from the ashes?
Yeah, there's two up there. There's Marine Unlimited and there's the Kettle Creek Marina.
Yeah, Kettle Creek burnt down a couple years ago. Did that come back?
Yeah, it's there.
Okay, good.
And there's a ramp. They have a ramp.
They do?
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so switch over to satellite so you can see where they are. Where is that? All right, over here is Marine Unlimited, and you have Kettle Creek boat ramp. Coming back here, plenty of water. Just make sure you're paying attention because it will slowly get narrower and narrower the closer you get, the further back you get.
There is a big sandbar at the point when you enter Kettle Creek on the left. Yeah, right there. You can almost see it. Right, almost see it right through the water.
Oh, yeah, look at that. Wow, look at that. I didn't even know it was there. I usually just go straight to the fuel dock, to be honest.
Yeah, you can't cut it too close.
Yeah, good call on that. I'm not sure if everybody else can see that, but somebody, I don't know who, but somebody just pointed out this sandbar right here. Make sure if you're going through this area, thank you, Joe, that we go around this red channel marker, or we give plenty of room as we're going through this area. Okay. If there's anything else back there. The only other marina in this area is way up there. And you have Sailor's Quay Marina way up here. Again, it's another one of those, make sure you pick the right stream creek marinas. Way up there, all the way up top. Okay. All right, we're gonna exit Kettle Creek, go make our way up. We're back out to Intercoastal Waterway. Let's see where I covered. Did I cover Harbor Yacht Club and Marina? We have Harbor Yacht Club Marina over here on the right. Not sure if that's Normandy Beach or Mantoloking over here on the bottom right of the screen. Getting into there, you should probably have, if you're going to get into there, there's plenty of water here. You got 5 foot, 6 foot. If you're going to shoot across, and once you get over to shore, just hug the coast. Pay attention as you're coming over here. Watch your depth. But once you're over here, you're good. Just kind of go straight across from, what's that, red buoy? Red buoy 20. Once you're at the red buoy 20, just hang a straight shot over to. Is there anything neat on that house? I don't know if there's anything neat on that house. They change these houses so regularly. I think it's like a house with a whole bunch of white fences on it or something. I don't know. I just go from this red 20 straight over. I can't draw straight lines, but that's what I do. And I'm usually good to go. No real issues. And then I just follow it up and in. And you're good. All right. We're going to keep going north a little bit here. Not sure if anybody's in the neighborhoods on the right, on the starboard side. If you are, just follow the sticks in from the ICW, and you should be good. Oh, I forgot about Baywood Marina. Oh, that one's a tough one. That one's another one. You have to make sure you pick the right channel, right street to get to. They have a fuel dock. They have, I believe they have a travel lift. I think they have a travel lift and a ramp back there. You got to pick the right, got to know what way you're going. And be mindful on, good getting in there. I thought there was a sandbar there, but yeah, you're good getting in there. Baywood Marina, if you're coming in, is all the way back here. All right, make sure you're paying attention and you pick the right street. Don't pick the wrong street. All right, gonna keep sliding up north. In this area, depending upon your depth of your boat, the draft of your boat, make sure that you're either sticking to the channel or paying attention to the draft of your boat and the depth of the water. Because there are areas where it gets narrow and it gets shallow real quick. Also pay attention to the no wake buoys. As the river gets narrower, it becomes a no wake zone really fast. Right here on the chart where we're looking, this entire section right here at the Mantoloking Bridge is all no wake. I do know a little bit ago it was not marked. There were no buoys out a couple weeks ago because they're seasonal, but not seasonal, but they take them out so the ice doesn't carry them away. But just because the buoys aren't there does not mean it's not a no wake zone. Make sure you're not causing any damage by your wake. All right, got a couple of things going on here. Let's try to point out what we have. Zoom out so I can point them out. Okay. Right, over here, we have the Mantoloking Yacht Club. Over here, we have the David Pete and Sons. here. We have the Barnegat Bay Marina. All right, here we have Traders Cove. The Mantoloking Bridge. There is a ramp around here. The Barnegat Bay Marina does have a gas dock. There are a couple of gas docks. There are a couple travel-less and ramps in the area. Traders Cove does have a ramp. It has 1, 2, 3 ramps there that are available. A whole lot of ramps in the area. Right. And then you have the whole, if you're ever curious as to where the cove is, you don't know where it is. I mean, here it is. I mean, it's the obvious F cove, right? I mean, it just, it's there. It's obvious, right? Okay. So where are we? Right here, we are at the bottom of the, I can't pronounce this river, Metedaconk. Probably did it right. The Metedeconk River. You have 2 pathways that you can take. You can go to the starboard side, and that will take you to the Point Pleasant Canal, or you can go to the port side, and that would take you directly to the Metedeconk River. The starboard side route towards the Point Pleasant Canal is a slow no wake route compared to the port side, which you can open it up and you can go as basically as fast as you want. Yeah, kind of pick which way, pick your poison, if you will.
There's some
all these,
really good advice in the chat. Sorry to interrupt you.
Sure.
John talks about the Mantoloking Yacht Club has a kids sailing group in the area, so just be aware of that. And also there's public pump out stations at Traders Cove, as well as those 3 ramps. And beware of the F Cove. It's a huge party area. Just let everyone be aware of those 3 wonderful and cautious things.
Yeah, I try not to highlight what the cove is used for, but yes, it is there. You won't see me in the cove, but it is there. Okay. Thank you for all those comments. That's great. Okay, yeah. So what way do you want to go? It's up to you. More often than not, I find myself going to the port and going up the Metedeconk River, and just avoiding the slow no wake zone. Anytime I can avoid a slow no wake zone, I'm doing it because that's just who I am. I was up here recently for the past couple weeks and past couple of days. There is plenty of buoys. All the seasonal buoys are in up here, so it's pretty well marked. Make sure that you're following the channel pretty well. Not only are the channel buoys up here, the sandbar buoys are as well. So what do I mean by sandbar buoys? They have, if I zoom out up here, and we can see kind of the bottom of the Metedeconk River. Switch to my brown for sandbars. So there's a sandbar over here. All right, and that sandbar, it has, it kind of goes like this. Has dots on it. Like that. It's traced out by small buoys to highlight where it is, so you don't run it over. And don't ignore them. Heed those warnings. Make sure you do not run. Do not cross that sandbar. You will run aground. You might as well put houses on it. Okay. All right, at the bottom of the Metedeconk River, something to highlight is Over here, this red buoy. There is a sandbar right here. I'll highlight it. Kind of respect this red buoy. There's been a couple red buoys that we've been respecting, where there has been some sandbars that are jetting out. This might be buoy number 1. I'm not really sure what this buoy number is. Let's see if it says. Nope, it does not say what buoy number it is. No. But it is the buoy. I don't know. It's that red buoy at that point, at that turn, when you're going to make that port turn to go around that sandbar. Respect the buoy. Don't cross between that red buoy and land, because you're going to run aground. Make sure that you respect it. As we're going up the river, there are a couple things going on here. First, I don't know why they have random. I don't know what these are up there for. They just put random fake marina things in places that they don't exist. Down here on the bottom, though, we do have a couple marinas. I'll highlight these. Down here, we do have the Metedeconk Yacht Club, River Yacht Club, and we do have the Cranberry Cove Marina. This river can be wide, and this is not a very deep river, right? The same as Tom's River, it's a 7-foot deep river, 6-foot deep river at the most. There is a channel to follow in this area. Try to follow it, make sure you're not kind of getting in the way, because since you do have a yacht club, there is quite a bit of sailing. I do see quite a bit of sailboats in the area, so make sure that you're paying attention. As we're coming up, it can be deceiving with all of these, as you can see the contours of the river, right? It can be deceiving. You don't really realize. You think the river is getting narrower, and then it kind of turns. You don't really understand sometimes where it's going. Don't cut the turns, because if you cut the turns, you're going to run aground on a sandbar that sticks out beyond where the land stops, right? So don't cut the corners, don't cut the turns. Right here, we have a couple of marinas going on. Some of them are highlighted with pink things, some of them are not. Down here, we have Cassidy's or Breton. You have Cassidy's Marina down here. Up here, we have Cedarcroft Club Marina. Up here, you have Pier 281, which is now Waterfront Marina Brick. This area, plenty of water again. Oh wow, that might be the deepest part of the river right there. Plenty of water here, plenty of places to go. You don't really have to worry about running aground in this area, up until right here where it's going to split. You do have, there is a marina down here that I do not know its name. It's changed names a couple times. Wolf Landing or Mantoloking Marina. Does anyone know what this marina is? And is it still here? It's next to the American Legion.
DC, do you have
Yeah,
any insight to share into those two different marinas? Marines Cove is still there. Yes.
Mermaid's Cove. Okay, cool. Yeah, the only thing I know about that marina is it was a fun marina because every now and then they'd have a barbecue going on at the American Legion, and it was a good time. But every time I go there, I feel like it has a different name. So good to know that it's Mermaid's Cove. Thank you. Okay. All right, zooming out. If you're going out of Mermaid's Cove, make sure you're paying attention. If you're going to be hanging a port, you're going to be going up North River. Don't cut it. Kind of go out to the main river before you make that hard port turn. There is going to be a channel out here. There are channel markers marking this area directly in front of the Whirling Brothers Marina. And I do see people getting stuck here occasionally, so I'll highlight it. Not highlight it, but I'll annotate it. So you should have channel markers out here marking your way kind of in. There is no channel markers in this direction, but there is a channel markers in this direction. All right, and it is not marked. There are no wake buoys over here, okay, but there are no wake buoys when you get into that channel. But for me, as a rule of thumb, usually as I enter this channel right here in front of the Whirl Brothers, that's when I'm slowing down to a no wake. So I know sometimes it feels like I'm pretty far away from their docks, but every now and then I also look down and I'm only looking at a couple feet deep, and my wakes sometimes tend to travel pretty far when it's not too deep. I mean, you're only looking at 5 foot, 6 foot deep. Then it has to cross this 4 foot sandbar, and as soon as your wake hits that 4 foot sandbar, it's going to get pretty big, and then it travels and hits the boats at the marina, and it can do some good damage. I realize it's not that. It seems pretty far away, but it can kind of exponentially increase the size of your wake as a result of that sandbar right there. All right, as we go up this river, want to make sure that you're sticking to the channel right here. Don't go out of the channel. If you go out of the channel, you're going to run aground, and it's not really good. Right here, there is a marina that kind of looks like a hand. Not sure if everyone can see that, but for me, that looks like a hand. Absolutely looks like a hand. Switch it to a satellite view. Up here, this is Green Cove Marina. This marina does have fuel, but a couple cautions on this marina. First up is be careful when you're driving your car into the marina. There are only 3 ramps. I will highlight now 4 ramps, considering the ramp we mentioned earlier. That's danger. In New Jersey, this boating ramp is an absolute. I don't know who designed this thing in New Jersey. So anyway, so what you do here when you're driving your car, if anyone's been to this marina, you know exactly what I'm going to say. So you go through this neighborhood, and you're coming in here at, I don't know, 25 miles an hour. And then all of a sudden you go into this, and it's nothing but rocks. And right at the bottom, as soon as you get into here, that's the boat ramp right there into the water. And you're just on rocks. It blows my mind. I don't know why. It blows my mind. Blows my mind. And it's a steep decline too. I don't know how more cars just don't go right into the water here. Sorry, that sidetrack there. So let's talk about this marina and this bay a little bit here. Where's my sandbar mark and my overlay? Too many buttons. All right, there is a sandbar that goes like this. All right, as you're coming into this marina, you will find that it is marked very well. All right, a lot of channel markers the entire way in. Do not go outside those channel markers. Right? If you find yourself going this way, you will get stuck. Do not go in there. You will get stuck. Okay. They do have a fuel dock, which is right here. Perfect spot. Good spot to get fuel. Nice and easy. It can be tight to turn around in there, but it's a good spot. No sweat. Up here a little bit further, up on the river, you have a couple more marinas. And I'm probably going to get them mixed up. But that's okay. I'm sure somebody will get angry at me for mixing them up. Up here we have the Shore Club Brick. We have Brennan Boat Marina. We have Coastal Boat Sales. Most importantly, we have the marina at Beacon 70. The marina at Beacon 70 does have fuel. Strangely enough, they have steaks and they have fuel. I guess it's a good combination. Steaks are good, by the way. Okay, so let's talk about getting into here. It can get busy in here, and it can get a lot of current can be happening in here, so you have to be paying attention. As you're coming in, follow the channel as you're coming in. All right, and you're going to be coming up here. Now you're going to make this hard port and coming along the boats and following your way in. All right, then you go get gas, or you can go to the marina, or you come in here, you go to the marina. That's how you get in. Okay, some people I have seen, I'll use yellow as a caution. Some people have gone that way. That only works at high tide. That does not work at mid tide. That does not work at low tide, because if I zoom in here, you're only looking at basically a three foot to a 2 foot area there. That is not passable at mid tide to low tide. Treat it as an extension of land, but if I switch it to satellite, it looks like a really welcoming body of water, but when in reality, it's not that welcoming at all, and it's actually pretty dangerous. Okay. Is there any questions about the Metedaconk? Very complicated area. Yeah, John, it is a very complicated area. And it's especially even more complicated because you get a whole lot of boats coming in and out of there. And with the current ripping, it can definitely be a challenge. It can definitely be a challenge. Caitlin, somebody just said something about fireworks.
Fireworks! I love fireworks!
DC mentioned something about fireworks. I don't know what it was. All right. I can't read the comments. Can't keep up with the comments. So
There are a
do you
lot
wanna
of
talk?
wonderful, wonderful comments of people talking about being slow in the area near Beacon 70. It's a very complicated area, and DC stated at Windward Beach, Thursdays in July, it's a popular spot for fireworks. And I love fireworks, so that's awesome.
I do
Thank
too.
you.
I do too.
When
We'll be
Summer
there.
Fest will be on the beach near Werin Brothers for fireworks as well. Anywhere there's fireworks, I want to be.
We will be there. Count us in. Count us in. Get us the date and we will be there. All right, let's I feel like we've been talking forever, but we've been making some good progress. Let's talk about Beaver Creek. Beaver something Creek over here. Beaverdam Creek. I never know the name of this creek. Always forget it. It's on the next side, just above the Metedaconk River. If you're going to be going into this, make sure that you're paying attention. I did highlight that sandbar right here, right? Sandbar around that red, between that red channel marker and the land. Make sure you're respecting the channel markers in this area, right? This way will take you to the Point Pleasant Canal, and this way will take you up the Beaverdam Creek. Up the Beaverdam Creek, the first thing you're going to come to is a bridge. It does have a 14-foot ceiling on there, but it does open pretty easily. Something to pay attention to as you're approaching the bridge. It does have a mixture of floating buoys and has some sticks. Some of the sticks are broken, but it's pretty obvious how to get there. And I mean, only I think one of them is broken. I was just there maybe a week ago, to make sure that you're, pay attention, but you don't have to be overly cautious about it. The bridge does open first. For me, it has always opened on demand. I've never had them tell me no, but I do try to not open it during rush hour. It probably has a time when it stops opening at night. Usually all bridges in New Jersey stop operating around like 8 o'clock or something like that for nighttime. But other than that, that bridge for the most part opens on demand. Directly above, so we got it. Let me zoom out because we have a couple marinas and a couple things going on here. Since we do have a couple marinas, it's important, and the bridge is important to go slow back here and kind of pay attention to where you're going and what's happening. First, maybe I'll go to satellite. If it doesn't make it, no, that made it ugly. Go to that. Right, we have a couple things going on here. Right here, if you come underneath the bridge, first marina you're going to come to is Comstock. Comstock does have fuel. It does have a lift service, all sorts of stuff going on there. Directly to the north, you have, I think it's Arnold's Yacht Basin and Marina. A whole lot of stuff going on there. Lift service, repair service, you name it. There is
There's a
there's
castaway brunch spot that's a dock and dine near Arnold's Marina, according to Tara. Sounds delicious.
there is that is there, and it is delicious. They have great breakfast sandwiches up there. That's a good spot for a breakfast sandwich. Thank you. All right. In addition to that, just trying to kind of orient myself. There's a bunch of stuff going on over here. I believe that Dockadine place is like right here ish. You have something called Forsberg Boat Works over here. There is a Shore Haven Yacht Club up like right here, just off of the screen. And I think that's about it. There's a Blue Lagoon Marina. I could not confirm if that is still in business. Does anybody know? Over here. Does anyone know if that's still in business? The most important thing back here is to kind of know where you're going, and it's all no wake. There's really no reason to be going fast back here. It's all real narrow, real shallow outside of the channel. Stick to the channel. Kind of have a reason to be going back here, I guess, right? There's no real reason to be going beyond. There's no real reason to be going beyond the midstream road up here. It has a vertical clearance. I don't know. I say a low of 31 feet, low tide 31 feet, and high tide 12 foot. I don't know if I believe that, but there's really no reason to get up there unless you live up there. Same thing on the north side of the creek. Once you get up to the yacht club, the Shore Haven Yacht Club, there really isn't anything above that to get up to. Once you get up really above that, you get into some real shallow water, and you can run aground real quick. Right, and that is the top of everything I want to cover today. I don't think there's anything else on Mantoloking that I wanted to talk about today. I am not going to go over this section. That begins the conversation for next week. So we talked about a whole lot tonight. I hope the guy that asked me. Thanks for joining us for this session of Whitman Marine Training's Boater's Compass. I hope you found this discussion helpful in navigating safer and smarter. As always, stay aware, plan ahead, and respect the water. Don't forget to check out our upcoming webinars. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like covered next time, please let us know. Subscribe for updates. And until next time, stay safe, stay informed, and enjoy the journey and get out on the water and have some fun.